into the talk. We're talking about value-led life, and I believe that most creatures on the planet value motherhood on some level. There are some who maybe, after a while don't necessarily have a great relationship with their mother. However, we know that within, all the other stuff aside, all the other upside down thinking that might enter into it, uh, that the bottom line is that's where the ultimate respect is, at least on this planet, because nothing happens without a mother. I don't care what being it is, So that's like a number one value. What came up for me, uh, comes up for me about motherhood is how many of our earliest religions and spiritual practices honored the Divine Mother, and
Yes.
most of them seem to have gotten away from that, uh, you know, for whatever reason. However, but we are talking about the value led life. And so thank you again for that song. Can't wait for it to hit the airways. You heard it here first. Okay. So,
Yay.
so yeah, so this month we're talking about good to great to grand, and talking about self actualization, collective actualization, because you can't have one without the other. And so this particular week, we're talking about the value led life. When we're looking at our self actualization, we're looking within. The first things we're going to start looking at is what do we value? And it's not necessarily something that people really want to look at or in depth. You know what I mean? It's like, if it, I think when we were talking earlier off camera, you mentioned the concept of spiritual bypass, and a lot of times it comes to having to take a stand for our values. Except it seems like when it might be threatening to do so, we'd like rather no, it's okay. I don't want to have to, speak up for myself or become a possible target for standing up for what I value. And values are, like the title says, a value led life. Here's a quote that says, our core values are the deeply held beliefs that authentically describe your soul. John C. Maxwell. And if we can possibly, and I know I'll speak for myself, I remember when uh, I didn't like anybody asking me any kind of question. I had to take a stand for something, take a stand for my life, take a stand for why I did something, and I had to start examining it. I was like, I don't even want to look at it. I don't know. I'd say, I don't know. I just did it, or I just believe that, or and like just hope that just the dust settles and just leave it alone, you know. But a value led life means, you know what? Yeah, I have faith and trust in that which I value. Uh, so, any thoughts, even about that quote, Rachel?
Well, I was thinking about it because I was thinking about Ralph Waldo Emerson, I love Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he has a thing in, I think it's the Self Reliance essay, where he says, speak your truth like cannonballs. Speak your truth with the
Mm,
force of cannonballs. And then if you learn something or your truth shifts or you change it, speak that new truth like cannonballs. And I love that, it's like you don't have to apologize for changing your mind. You don't have to apologize for
mm,
learning something. Maybe you had a value that turned out to be hurtful to others. And one day you wake up and go, wow, I was valuing something that was harmful. So let me make some
mm,
amends for that and now speak my new value because now I know more. So as
mm,
we learn, these things that we call beliefs can grow and shift and change and evolve. And I love that Emerson gives us that permission and speak it like cannonballs.
mm. Absolutely, and that way it's heard and felt, you know, and I did a talk last week about acceptance. And one of the key ingredients of acceptance is conviction. Yeah. So first and foremost, we have to convince ourselves, about the values that we accept in our lives. That we can then go forth and splash around like cannonballs in a pool. Yeah. However, that conviction means a lot when it comes to our values, because otherwise, how much of a value is it? How much do you really value your freedom? How far are you willing to go for your freedom? And so I'm asking everyone to take a look at what your values are, and how committed and convinced are you in your values. And thank you, Rachel, for bringing that up. Like, yeah, we can change. It's like, if we're stuck in some BS, I'm going to throw it out there. If you're stuck in some BS, everybody, and you know what BS means, all right? It means belief system. Okay. What else could it have meant? What else could it? Yeah. So, uh, when our values will mirror our belief system. Because if we believe a certain thing, we're going to value. If we believe that everyone ought to be free, then we're going to value freedom. Freedom, how's that quote go? If one person isn't free, then nobody is free. I'm paraphrasing the quote. Um, so, yeah, freedom is for one and all. And I would certainly say for all as one. Okay. So we have to value uh, oneness. we, it's like I just don't want it for myself. I want it for all. And wouldn't that be a way to end all wars? Oneness. What we do for one, we do for all. What we do to ourselves, we're doing for all or to all. And certainly, if
And if I
we're
can
not loving
also share
ourselves,
that, yeah,
say it
I,
again.
I want I wanted to share something in line with what you were talking convictions and
Mhm.
um, and that ability to grow. My mother, bless her heart, is about to turn 91, which no one would
Mhm.
ever guess if you met her. She's vibrant and vital and involved. And even her, in this decade, this ninth decade of her life, she has learned new things and has adapted. And so she'll meet her contemporaries and have to let them know, this new
Mm.
generation, love them as they are. Stop trying to judge them or contain them. They're a new generation. Let's see them. Let's love them. And so, if my mother, 90 plus, can adapt to a value led life that maybe looks way different from her value led life in 1952 when she got married to
Mm.
now, certainly we can do that. We are
Mm.
malleable creatures.
Yes, we are. Thank God for that. That we can be flexible in examining and re-examining our values. I mean, my values as a teenager have changed dramatically. What I thought was cool, I valued that. It was like I wore it as a banner. My right to smoke cigarettes or do whatever I wanted to do, and that was valuable to me at the time. So I thought, until it became revealed to me, and even relevant, that I needed to change some of these values because they're not in my best interest. And as a matter of fact, maybe hurting other people. So, thank you for that. And we get to examine and share, what I came up with, because I know that I don't have the same friends that I used to have, because I changed my values. I changed my belief system. So, and what goes along with that, with the belief system, is where we put our attention. Where we have our intention and our attention, and that's the direction that our life goes in, and that's a part of our value system. I value play, playfulness. So I put my attention on playfulness, and I get to nowadays maybe not play sports like I used to, but I'll go maybe and watch sporting events or go to concerts a little bit more than I used to, and different kind of concerts, not the loud, blaring rock concerts that I used to go to. That I'm going to blame for any disruption of hearing that I might experience. But now I go to jazz concerts or different concerts and not sit next to the speakers. So I have different value system. But where am I putting my attention? Uh, um, where am I putting my energy? And
Yes.
that's my attention is my energy. Whatever has my attention has my focus, my energy. And here's another quote. Would you read that, please?
Absolutely. Releasing the weight of past limiting beliefs and judgments frees us to rise up in faith, which is mental assertion elevated to the plane of realization. Can I read that one more time? Releasing the weight of past limiting beliefs and judgments frees us to rise up in faith, which is mental assertion elevated to the plane of realization. God bless Ernest Holmes. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Would you like to make a comment about that?
Yeah, I mean, I have friends who, I have wonderful atheist friends who are atheists. And we have wonderful conversations about words like religion and faith.
Mm.
And I try to explain that understanding of faith is not blind faith or, well, I should yield more, not completely surrendering faith. It is a mental assertion elevated to the plane of realization. My faith is the knowing. For me, it also includes feeling. However, it's not just feeling. It's not just, well, things are terrible, but God's going to work it out. No, I need to know that. I need to know what that is. And then I need to partake. So it's more than just having faith. It's faith and living that faith and knowing that faith and speaking that. So it's like, it's active. It's not passive. That's what I was looking for. It's active and not passive.
I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing on
Yeah.
that so much. And here's why. I told you I love that word belief, and believing and the words. And so for me, here's how how I entertain that concept. When I hear belief, I think of be living. How you be living? How you be living is your belief. Okay.
Yes.
So, for me, it's like, hey, how are you living today? You know, and well, I be living well. I be living, in peace and harmony and joy. Yeah. So, to me, yeah, it's, and we talk about in New Thought religious science as a mental equivalent. Whatever thoughts that you are holding in your mind, consistently with conviction, with faith, shows up in your world. Not just any old thought that randomly comes and goes, but that's that which we hold as true, and faithful, that
Mhm.
that thought is going to manifest in what it is that I desire. So that's like, yeah, it's not just, see, I mean, I just want to add this very quickly. When I first learned what the meaning of religion is, like very simply put, and I learned this from in the 12-step world, of recovery, religion, and this is a very safe way, I think, of defining it, is a way of bonding one to one source. So I religiously
Okay.
pray. It doesn't say how I have to pray, but how do I bind myself to that which created me? By affirming and praying, not necessarily to it, but and some people do, but about the goodness of God in my life, and that gets me closer, and the realization of, yes, I know God loves me, and I know that that divine presence takes care of me if I don't want to use the word God. That the Creator cares for its creations. And once I get that embodiment of religion, religiously doing things, then yeah, okay, I can focus now on what spiritual is. The way in which I'm living. Not just what I'm doing. Now, here's a thank you for bringing this quote up. It says, focus not on doing less or doing more, but on doing what you value. That's Gretchen Rubin. And it's powerful because it's like every time maybe you go into stores and there's a little glass container, a plexiglass container, saying, well, support, world hunger or support, peace wherever. Please make a donation. If that's my value, if I value, not world hunger, but actually, people being fed in the world, yeah, I'll contribute. Or, efforts to create more peace, have more peace be revealed. Yeah, I'll support that. So, um, like you mentioned, it's about action. It's about being, be living, being and doing what we say we believe, what we value.
Yeah, when so I was raised, when I was growing up, God for me was a big man with a long beard in the sky who, gave us things and gave me things and was sometimes nice and sometimes mean. And I had I was not participating. It
Hmm.
was, well, hopefully God will be nice to me, or hopefully God will do this or that. And then some things in my life changed drastically. So I got mad at God because I
Yeah.
was like, well, why'd you do that? And when I finally came around, there was a moment in my life that I finally came around to, oh, this is a relationship. This is a relationship with this thing I call God, which is both outside, around, and also me. I have to participate. I have to be
Yeah.
part of this. So again, like you said, my values changed from the value of you take control, I'll just wait, to
Mm.
no, I want to partner. I want to partner with this energy, this essence, this creative energy called God. I want to be part of that. And when that
Mm.
value changed, my life changed.
And that is awesome. Thank you for that. And again, it's like you took your attention off poor little me and put your attention in something greater, which still includes us all. It's like, wow, yeah, I'm not a victim of God, which some people go there. They're afraid of God, or they walk
Right.
a straight line because I don't want to make God angry at me, and so. So here's a wonderful quote about integrity in that it says integrity is choosing courage over comfort.
Mm,
It's choosing what's right over what is fun or easy. It's choosing to practice your values rather than simply professing them. Of course, Brene Brown book Rising Strong. And isn't that wonderful? It's that choosing courage isn't just putting your attention on it. It's not just being a bystander and like, okay, yeah, with the attention, yeah, my attention is there, my focus is there, but then it turns into action, like you mentioned. It's practicing the values. And along with that comes the passion. I'm not just saying the words. I'm not. Oh yeah, yeah, I love that. Oh yeah, great. Yeah, that's cool. And then just sitting by and doing nothing, and then possibly complaining about why things aren't working out the way that I think they should or want them to. That's like we encourage people to vote. Don't just sit back and complain after it's all said and done. Put your hand in it, put your foot in it, step in it. you know, and what is it? Do you value your freedom to vote, to choose? Well, then that's for sure. Now, you want to say something to that?
I do actually. I want to balance
Which,
that because I know there are people out there listening who are like me, who may not feel comfortable going to, let's say, a march or a protest. Like
mm,
I'm not as
mm,
comfortable in crowds as I used to be. When I was younger, man, I was out front. And these days I'm like, I'm not sure I want to be around that many people. So does that, and then I had to sit with that because I was like, well, does that make me less courageous now? So how do I live my values? How do some of us introverts live our values courageously without stepping out on the fine? And I think there are ways to do that. I think
mhm.
holding consciousness is a way to do that. I think holding the presence, lifting up those who are out front, knowing what's true for them, and then doing quiet things around the sides of it. So it doesn't always mean that you have to be the first in battle. The battle could look different for each of us. And so I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, well, I'm not stepping out into the protest or the march. That's okay. Hold those who are doing it in your consciousness. Keep them safe in your consciousness. That is still living your values.
That's great. That's awesome. And thank you for bringing that up. And there's a question that pretty much mirrors that. It's like, and this is for everybody. What are some areas where you are not living from your values, or maybe you think you're not living from your values? And I'll say, I love cleanliness. I love being in clean environment. And I got to admit, there are times when my kitchen does not reflect that. There are some times in my bedroom, looks like I might be able to grow a plant in some of that dust that has accumulated, but but how do I feel when I make that change? When I clean up and dust up and wash the dishes. So when I wake up in the morning, I don't like, oh my God, yeah, you know what I mean? So in what areas, and maybe they could be more drastic areas. Like, yeah, I I too don't necessarily want to be in the forefront holding up a sign protesting. But yeah, I do my prayer work. I'll most certainly, keep the highest and the best in mind for all concerned, not just the police in the riot gear and ones holding the signs. And then there are others who are considered agitators, pray that they may not, disrupt anything, a peaceful protest. So I want to be able to do my part in ways that benefit my value and my belief system and my uh, my skill set.
Mm.
Yeah, I may not be skilled at you know uh, um, creating signs and yelling and doing all that. However, my skill set says I can pray with the best of them. You know,
Yeah.
or maybe there's another way. We can have conversations with people. And help consciousness rise on in that way. And so that's a
Yes.
question for each
Yes.
and every one. Look at your values and how are you taking action using your passion for life in your values. And we have another question. Um, how have your values changed or evolved as you've
Mm.
discovered more about yourself? When we do our inward work, we're going to discover, we're going to take stuff off the top and see what's underneath. And like, you know what? I don't value that thing that I thought I valued before, and
I have a good
so
example of
yeah, sure, go ahead.
I have a great example of that. For years, I was a supporter of the death penalty. I hadn't really thought about
Mhm.
it. I just said that I was. That was it. I was behind it. And then I applied to start my seminary program. And we had to do a sort of self-evaluation. And it was a list of questions, and the instructions were don't think, just answer the
Mm.
question, yes or no. And just go with it as fast as you can without pondering. And question number 12 was, do you support the death penalty? And I checked no. And then I went on two more
Mm.
questions, and I was like, wait, wait a second. And I actually went back and I was like, I clicked no. Okay, I need to sit with this for a second. And I realized I had never valued the death penalty. I just had never thought about it. And now I knew what my value was. And it was no, I do not support this. So sometimes it's like an awakening of, oh, you know what? I used to think I loved that. I don't love that, or I used to think that that was okay. That's not okay. And I think it's
That's right.
good to have that awakening moment and to say, new thought, new idea, new day, new direction.
Absolutely. And that's sometimes that awakening could actually come in the form of a shakening, which is my word
Yes.
in a few
Yes.
years. Sometimes we get to get shaken up to take a look at our values. What am I doing here? How did I get here? I thought I valued following that leader, or 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 just maybe valuing eating a tub of ice cream. It's like, oh, I guess I'm getting in a shaking now. Shaking awake. You know, and then we had, and thank you for that example. And we have another question. How do your
Uh-oh. Where did Rodney just go? I don't know where Rodney just went, so I'll ask the question. How do our values inform our activity in the world? How does that, I'm a little startled, so I'm just going to keep talking until Rodney comes back. Um, like we were talking before, it's like when I was younger, when I was in my 20s and 30s, my values were be out in the world. Oh, he's coming back. Yay. Um, and now my values inform my activity differently. And that's okay. Oh, you're back. Yay.
how I value great working internet? What,
Yeah.
what can I do about
Yeah.
it? Oh,
Yes. So I
so
was just continuing that conversation. Who we've been and who we are, and how does that change? Like I went from knocking on doors to sending postcards when we were talking about
mm,
voting a few years ago. Instead of, because I know I wouldn't answer the door for anybody because I don't. So so why would I go knocking on a stranger's door if I wouldn't open my door for even me? However, I was
mm,
able to sit and do postcards. I could still
mhm.
participate.
Yeah. hmm Awesome, awesome. And this is for everybody. This work. What the celebration of life, the joy that we do here on Sunday, is great. Now, you know, see what it means for you when it's not Sunday. Work on
Right.
it. Work with it. You're watching us on Facebook Live. Make comments and let us know what you've discovered, or whether you think, this doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Let us know what shows up for you. Um, and again, uh, the questions when we talk about evolve, we are all evolving, and especially when we welcome it, when we acknowledge it, when we passionately work on it, or passionately play with it, it's like, yeah, we start to examine our values. And quite honestly, I'll tell you, the more I looked at my values, the more I got rid of, the less values I had to focus on. I'm like, wow, this is great. Peace, love, joy. That works for me. You know, a lot of things I thought were accentuating my life, that were adding more to my life, only seemed to drag me down. Gave me some responsibilities that really weren't mine, because I had, placed values that weren't really mine to do. And here's this quote from Michael Beckwith. As the alchemist of your own life, find a bit of the frequency you want to experience and place your attention there. As it becomes your perception, live. That's from Michael Beckwith. And
Yes.
it's just really the most important part there is an alchemist of your life, your own life. Like we started off, Rachel, you started talking about your concept of God and how it changed. It's like, well, yeah, wait a minute, I have a personal responsibility, to passionately focus on my relationship with God, with the Creator. I get to, I can't just sit there and like, okay, God, where's my meal? What? You don't love me, God? You didn't put food on my table? Well, we have a responsibility. We get to create what this life looks like because as we often say in New Thought, and it's mirrored in other religions, that we are co-creators. We are endowed with the power of the Creator because we are made from the Creator. So that which the Creator has on a smaller human level is within us that we get to use. So that way we get to passionately and follow
And
our values. Yeah, go ahead. Did you want to speak to anything there, Rachel, before
part
we
of
go
that
into
co-creation, that alchemy.
yeah.
Yes, yes, I would. Part of that co-creation and part of that alchemy, I think, comes from where our views initially came from.
Mm,
So, like, I was thinking, I wonderful values from both my parents. From my
mm,
mother, she is a philanthropist. She gives her gifts and talents and treasures to all kinds of organizations and places. She values her family. She's a great grandma of 6. And so she's got
mm,
legacy. And then from my dad, his passionate love of music and theater. And I was born and raised a Reformed Jew. He sang in the temple, and his cultural beliefs, his belief that we are born to be active, to be activists.
mhm,
The combination, the alchemy of their values in me, co-created through me and what I discovered in my life, all is like the big soup of my values. And I think it's important
mm,
to recognize the gifts, even in problematic relationships with our family or our parents
mhm,
or our grandparents, even when it's issue filled or problematic, there's a nugget in there that we got. And to
mhm.
find that nugget.
Awesome. Thank you for bringing that up, Rachel. And yeah, and we spoke to this before we got on. It's important to examine where we picked up some of those values, and it may not be that evident because so many of those values we picked up as children, and we just thought, oh, that's just the way it is. Yeah, valuing education is a big thing in my family. I remember that there wasn't a time when it was ever okay not to go to school. I mean, could be a hurricane, and we did go to school in a hurricane. You go to school. That was the value that our parents had for education. Like you just can't afford to miss a day of school, you know. So, and that was
Right.
kind of concurrent in a lot of family members, in our culture. Uh, so yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So yeah, folks, when you're examining where you got these long held values and beliefs, you know, do your best not to leave any stone unturned because some of them might look like you don't want to lift that stone. I don't know. But yeah, it's okay. We'll be okay because we also talked about faith. Have the faith that you're going to be okay in
Yeah.
order to maybe look at one of those values and belief systems or maybe even make a change. It's be okay. And to assist that we have affirmations. So,
Wonderful.
uh, we're going to turn to our affirmations and have Reverend Rachel start us off.
All right. I invite you to take a truly cleansing deep breath, the kind where you breathe in and you hold a little at the top and let that out. And the first affirmation is, it is so that I choose to honor positive, meaningful, uplifting values. And let's breathe that in. Breathe that in. And to let it sit, I'm going to say it again. It is so that I choose to honor positive, meaningful, uplifting values.
And taking a breath, release, and affirm. It is so that I get to re examine my values to maintain harmony in my mind, body, and affairs. Oh, let's breathe that in again. Breathe in and recite. It is so that I get to re examine my values to maintain harmony in my mind, body, and affairs. Hmm.
And let's breathe one more time in, really good one. It is so that I live from my values in ways that enhance my life and the world around me. Oh, let's
Hmm.
really breathe that one in. We need this right now so very much. It is so that I live my values. I live from my values in ways that enhance my life and the world around me. Yes.
And, and so it is.
And so it is.
And
And now it is.
yes.
Um, Ashe.
I
Oh,
say,
yes.
amen. Right on. Thank you, Reverend Rachel. Thank you. And so right now we're going to go into another spiritual mind treatment to kind of sum up and bring home and cement and add a little more foundation to the talk. This wonderful talk. Thank you so much, Rachel. This is wonderful. Yes. Oh, and how wonderful it is to know, to come from a place of knowing, to live from the place of knowing that there's only one life, one power, one presence. We simply call it God, God for short. However, it is all that is. All that is comprises all of who we are as as one, as ones of the one. And so I am knowing that there is a deep and abiding value that each and every one of us holds dear, whether it be the love, the peace, the joy, the harmony, the wisdom, all of those wonderful qualities involved in in creating a life worth living. And to do so, there are values that go along with it based on our belief system, believing in harmony, believing in oneness, believing in love and joy, believing that this is the basis of our nature, very basic basis of our nature. That says that, yes, we are free. Oh, what a wonderful value. Not just one, but all of us ones are free. That we all have entitlement to good. That we all have rich and deep, abiding relationships with each one. Because there's only one relationship, my friends. That is a relationship that the divine has with itself in and through and as each and every one of us. So therefore, there should never ever really be any reason for strife or conflict because there's only one. And knowing that there's only one, that means that the divine, the created, cares for its creations. So therefore, there is enough for all. Enough food, enough housing, enough water, enough land, enough space, enough love to go around. Hmm. And in doing so, I know that love shows up in the form of money or anything else that is prosperously abundant to empower us to live from positive values and saying yes to all that is necessary, all that is needed to support us in living from our values, being able to support one another in philanthropy, in in service, in ways that provide and support each and every one. That everyone is able to have what is necessary in order to complete their purpose on the planet, one day at a time. And so, just for today and for every moment and every day to follow, I am knowing that this truth is already circulating, already showing up by divine law that makes it happen, already showing up in manifestation, always, already showing up as true. Mm, already true in ways seen and unseen. And so I give thanks for this, knowing it is done according to this word. Allow it to be the good that is unfolding to be right here, right now, and every now moment. And I simply affirm it by saying, and so it is, and now it is. Mm, yes.
And now it
Blessings,
is.
beloveds.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind and heart and spirit, we like to first of all mention that it's that we believe in the power of prayer. We believe in the power of knowing the truth, embodying the truth. And so we get to speak the truth, not just for ourselves, but for each and every one. Okay, so please feel free to make prayer requests. We love prayer, and there's a song by Agape that goes, "Use me, oh God." You know, use us. We're here for you. We're here
Oh,
to know the highest and the best for each and every one. Okay, and if your prayer requests can be sent to one love at onelovecenter.org or 844-295-5155. And we will most certainly um, make use of the opportunity to pray and know the highest and the best for you, about you, no doubt about it. About whatever situation is not too great for God. All right. So, also, which is not too great, is your ability to have. And once you get to have, you get to give. How wonderful that is, because you can't give unless you have. And so we're knowing one of the things that we pray about is the ability to receive, the ability to say, hey, you know what, and to speak to what it is that you desire. And if what it is that you desire, you need to have more money or more support, more supply, whatever it is, well, we'll help you with that as well. And we have affirmations of abundance to help you out. That we are grateful for all those who have given and will continue to give and maybe give for the first time. Thank you. And no, there's no amount that's too large or too small. So just thank you for your donations. And it says below where you can give and how you can give on our website, or PayPal, or the Cash Me app, $ One Love CSL. And we have affirmation of abundance. So please join me in making this firm in your mind, your soul, your spirit. And together we say that money, as one of many gifts of spirit, is good. And as I share my offerings, I know that I am actively creating a space to receive more gift, more money, and more good, and that we are grateful for the ability to give and for the good work these gifts do in our center and in our world. And now it is. Now it is showing up in ways that are maybe even unimaginable, but yet the universe provides, the creator provides for its creations. So know it. Well, we have some announcements before we go into our final comments and final song from Reverend Rachel. And One Love Center is requesting a member for, or a friend of a friend, or a friend of a member for technical assistance in managing our broadcast. We have Lita Perez in the background doing a magnificent job. Thank you very much. And she could use some help, and we could use your help as well. And so contact us through, again, our email at onelovecenter.org or 844-295-5155 to be of service. Bless you and thank you in advance. Also, we have we are looking to start a class for this year. It's called beyond limits. So move into living beyond your limiting belief, into your limiting BS, your limiting belief system, by registering for our Beyond Limits class. And you can let us know your intention by going to the website, events, and send us an email. Okay. All right. Also, you're invited to the second convention, it's conference, excuse me, it's People of African Descent, the New Thought Group has created another conference celebrating our soul. And the title of this year's conference is Consciously Creating Change. That's powerful. It's like change happens, but it's more powerful when you do it consciously. And this is August 1st to the 4th this year to 2024 at Unity Village. There's the website where you can register and find out more about it. It's going to be an awesome opportunity. We have a lot of the uh, premier speakers around the country in New Thought. First and foremost, we have Reverend Michael Beckwith, Dr. Reverend Michael Beckwith. We have Sheila McKeithen. We have people from Unity, from all different New Thought communities, whether they're independent or the larger ones. So most certainly, you want to check it out. Okay. At this time, Rachel, do you have any closing remarks?
I think it was a really great conversation, and it got me thinking about some even more things than I had talked about, and I hope it sparked some thoughts.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm
thank you so
grateful
much.
for people who came. Thanks.
Go ahead. You said you were grateful?
Oh,
Sorry, I
yes. I'm
didn't hear
grateful
that
for
right.
those who are here and those who will. I'm grateful for those who are here and for those who will be hearing it.
Oh, awesome. Me too.
Did that come through?
And yeah, it is awesome that we get to speak these words. So we're not doing spiritual bypass. It's like it's important to take a look at your values, and you might find that I got wonderful values. This is great. You know, but give yourself a moment to maybe go up to the mountaintop. You don't have to go in the desert for 40 days. But you can, like, hey, you know what? Let me just have a still moment where I can just take a look at what has meaning and value for me in my life, and how can I add or contribute to society, to the collective, to the community. So yeah, I'm glad we had this opportunity. Thank you all for joining in. Rachel and I are now going to go into another prayer and be followed by another wonderful song by Reverend Rachel. And so I am knowing that right here, right now is a great, great time to be looking at our values, our God given abilities and skills and talents, and how we get to use them based on our belief system, where we put our attention, where we put our passion, and how we bring it all together in what is valuable to us in ways that are meaningful, not just to us, but to others. And so I give thanks that we have this opportunity to take a look at it, to speak it, to make it okay. And I turn my word over to Reverend Rachel.
I am so grateful that I get to partner with Spirit, that I get to walk with Spirit in me, around me, and as me. And as I awaken to that each and every day and each and every moment of the day, I am reminded of what I value, who I value, how I value myself and others. And I get to do that with the best partner ever. And I'm so, so grateful for that reminder. And I pack to my brother.
And so, knowing these words spoken in truth, as truth, that is the truth, we simply release, let it go, and know that it is not just for she and I. It's for all of us with a divine eye. So I give thanks knowing it is already manifesting, already taking form, the ability to, this week, take a look at our values. They'll come up. We have that. It's going to come up. So now we have a little bit more information with which to use what comes up. And so I let it go. I let it be the good that it is unfolding to be right here, right now. And I simply affirm it by saying, and now it is.
And Now it is.
And we turn it over
So
to Reverend Rachel. Next
we're going to
song.
close with a song called Agreement. And the question is, what is your agreement with Spirit? What's your agreement with Spirit? What's your agreement with Spirit? Is it to be fully here, to be love, strong and clear? What's your agreement with Spirit? What's your agreement with Spirit? What's your agreement with Spirit? To see things as they are, as you co-create them to be better by far. What's your agreement with Spirit? What's your agreement with Spirit? What's your agreement with Spirit? When you let go and breathe, then you know what it means to be free. What's your agreement with Spirit? So wherever you are, we're going to do this first verse again. What's your agreement with Spirit? To be fully here, to be love, strong and clear. So wherever you are, let's do it together. What's your agreement with Spirit? What's your agreement? What's your agreement, Spirit? Is it to be fully here? Is it to be fully here, to be love, strong and clear? Yes. What's your agreement with Spirit? What's your agreement with Spirit? Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Woo! I agree fully and wholeheartedly with Spirit that life is good. Life is promising the best as I accept the wonderful values in my life. Thank you. Thank you. I live from a place of positive, uplifting values. That's my agreement. Woo!
Yes.
Thank you for agreeing to be with us today.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank you so
Lita
much.
Perez. Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you. And let's do it again sometime soon.
Right.
Hey, Lita.
Thank you, Lena.
Yes. All right. Okay. Peace and blessings, everybody. We'll see you next week.